Well, let's discuss the attacks on the American diplomatic missions with Lindsey German, convener of the British Stop the War coalition. Hi there, Lindsey. Good to see you. Now, Tripoli blames Gaddafi loyalists for the violence. How credible is that when this attack happened, actually, of course, in the same city where the anti-regime movement erupted in the first place?
Well, absolutely. Benghazi was the centre of opposition to Gaddafi. So if there are Gaddafi loyalists in Benghazi, it tells you what a failure the intervention and the regime change was. I think that this is a very, very serious incident for the Americans. It shows that the intervention did not work. And let's remember, only a year ago, we were being told in triumphalist terms by the British and French governments and the Americans that everything was sweetness and light in Libya, that it was going to be peace and democracy. And already a year on, we see a very, very different situation, and one I think that should warn everybody around the world of exactly the problems that there are there.
And the big question, of course, now, is this it? We've seen the trouble in Libya, we've seen the trouble in Egypt over the past 24 hours. Now the Taliban stepped in too by calling on Afghans to protest. How high do you think are the chances of this spinning out of control and of more attacks on Americans elsewhere?
Well, the problem here is that the root of this immediate problem is a film which has explicitly been made to attack Muslims by a man who describes Islam as a cancer, and therefore it's a provocative act. But it could not take off in this kind of way if there was not already a very, very wide level of discontent in these countries. We know in Afghanistan people have seen the burning of the Quran by American soldiers. We know that there have been repeated clashes between Muslims and other people in different countries here. And people in the Middle East, there's a report out today saying that people in the Middle East and in Asia do not trust the Americans in particular. This goes for the British as well. And in this situation, I think we see more and more of these clashes going on.
Well, I mean, looking back to 2005, those cartoons that appeared in that Danish newspaper, then Pastor Terry Jones calling on the Quran to be burnt a couple of years ago. Every time this kind of thing happens, along with the various forms of satire of Islam in the West, that they often seem to be now triggering an avalanche of hatred in the Muslim world. Is this the way it's going to be every time it happens, do you think, from now on?
I don't think we should just see it as an avalanche of hatred. I think we should see it as people who have many, many grievances against occupying powers, against the rich imperial powers, who feel threatened by the continuing occupation in Afghanistan, who do not want war against Syria and Iran, which we're hearing more and more about. And this is why they respond in this way. And, of course, it will be reported in America as this is anti-American, this is fundamentalism, this is all these kind of things. But at root, we have to deal with the problem here. And the problem here is American foreign policy, is Western foreign policy, and this foreign policy has to be changed. It has created an absolute disaster in the world since the first invasion of Afghanistan in October 2001, 11 years ago. There's been a disaster in Afghanistan, a disaster in Iraq. We've had wars in Lebanon. We had 30,000 people killed in Libya last year. There is no point in people trying to blame this on the now dead Colonel Gaddafi. This is to do with people resisting what the Americans are doing, and the sooner that the Americans realise this, I think the better for everybody.
Lindsey, while we've got you on the line, let's look at the position tonight now in Libya. Washington's reportedly sending a team of Marines to bolster security there for its nationals. How's that going to affect the relationship with the Libyan people and leaders?
Well, as I understand it in Libya, the whole country is broken up into different, there are different spheres of influence in different parts of it. Of course, people will see the Marines in Benghazi as a foreign force trying to maintain control of some of it, and it will not lead to any more stability and peace. I think they should recognise that actually the damage, the terrible damage that they have done in Libya, and they should learn the lessons not just from the past, but this should mean they should stop their already covert intervention in Syria, and they should stop threatening to bomb Iran.
Lindsey, thanks very much for being on the line. Do appreciate it. Lindsey German, the convener of the